Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Speaking from the Heart. This is a space where we explore spiritual wisdom rooted in gospel teachings and connect it meaningfully to our business, work, and personal lives. Hi, I'm Richard Fontenay, and I'm glad that you're here today because we're going to be diving into something that's simple to say, but often hard to live. Love is hard work in today's conflicted world. We live in a time when division, misunderstanding, and constant noise seem to dominate the headlines and our social feeds. Conversations can quickly turn into arguments. Relationships can fracture over differing opinions. And compassion can be in short supply. In moments like this, love isn't just a warm feeling, it's a courageous choice. And Jesus spoke directly to this. In John chapter 13, he tells his disciples, "A new command I give you, love one another, as I have loved you, so you must love one another." Now that's not a suggestion, it's a command, and it's one of the most challenging ones he ever gave, because as I have loved you means loving in a selfless, sacrificial, and active way. Today, we'll look at how we can live that out in our business, work, and life, even when it's hard, through 4 critical points, each with a story to bring it home. Point number 1, love requires intentional listening. Now, in our fast-paced world, it's easy to hear without truly listening. In business meetings, workplace conversations, or even family dinners, we often find ourselves planning our response instead of trying to understand the heart of the other person. I recall working with an oil firm where 2 companies merged. Unfortunately, 2 leaders constantly disagreed. It reached the point where tension was at a breaking point. And I suggested that the next time they met, they not only argue, but for one of them to speak for 5 minutes while the other listened. No interruptions, no counterpoints, just listening. And by the end, both admitted that they fully understood the other person's perspective. They still disagreed, but the tone of their relationship changed. In the gospel, Jesus didn't just speak, he listened. He listened to the blind man calling out, to the woman at the well, to his disciples when they didn't understand. In our world, intentional listening is an act of love that cuts through the division. Point number 2, love means choosing grace over judgment. It seems that we live in a culture that is quick to cancel, criticize, and condemn. But love often means extending grace where others might expect judgment. I recall a story about a business owner who discovered that an employee had made a costly mistake. And the employee was called into his office and expected to be fired. And instead, the owner said, "We'll work through this, and you'll learn from it." And you know, that employee went on to become one of the most loyal and productive team members within his company. Now, Jesus modeled this when he said to the woman caught in adultery in John chapter 8, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." Now, he didn't ignore the wrongdoing, but he led with grace, not condemnation. In our workplaces and personal relationships, we can choose to see people not only for what they've done, but for who they can become. And point number 3, love demands sacrifice. Now, true love often demands our time, our comfort, our resources. And in a conflicted world, that sacrifice might even be misunderstood. Here's a story about Jennifer. Let's say Jennifer runs a small cafe. During a time of economic difficulty, instead of cutting hours or laying off staff, she reduced her own salary to make sure her team could keep their jobs. It wasn't easy, and it meant tightening up her own budget at home. But she saw it as an investment in the people she loved working alongside. Now, is this something you or I could do? Well, that's a good question. Maybe it's time to search our hearts to find the answer. Jesus gave us the ultimate example of sacrificial love in laying down his life. While most of us won't be called to that level of sacrifice, we are called to put others ahead of ourselves in real, tangible ways, especially when it's inconvenient. And point number 4, love is a daily commitment, not a one-time act. It's easy to show love in moments of inspiration, but in today's conflicted world, love needs to be practiced daily, especially towards people who are hard to love. Here's another short story I read about. His name was Jacob. Now, Jacob had a challenging client, someone who is impatient, demanding, and sometimes rude. Instead of avoiding him or providing bare minimum service, he chose to treat him with consistent kindness. And over the months, the client's tone softened, and their relationship evolved into one of mutual respect. It wasn't overnight, but his daily commitment to love through professionalism and patience made all the difference in the world. Now, Jesus didn't just love when it was convenient. He loved consistently, whether he was tired, interrupted, or under pressure. His love was steady, and that's the model we're called to follow. So in a world filled with division, living out love is indeed hard work. But it's work worth doing, because when we love like Jesus loved, we bring healing, bridge divides, and shine light in dark places. It begins with listening intentionally, choosing grace over judgment, embracing sacrifice, and committing to love every day. Now, these aren't just lofty ideals. They are practical, gospel-rooted actions we can apply in our boardrooms, at our family tables, in our workplaces, and within our neighborhoods. So I invite you now to pause and reflect. What insight, work, or phrase resonated with you today? What touched your heart as you listened? And what can we do, you and I, to turn this teaching into action in ways that will enrich our business, work, and life? And how can we share this reflection with others so that love spreads in a world that desperately needs it let's not let today's message stay as words in our ears, but let's put it into action or into motion. Let's put it into our conversations, in our decisions, and in our daily choices. Now, thank you for joining me on Speaking from the Heart. In our next episode, we'll talk about walking with God in the fullness of nature, and how creation itself can become a place where we meet Him, learn from Him, and find renewal for the work we do in the world. Until then, may we each choose love, even when it's hard, and remember that every small act of love is a seed of hope planted in someone's heart. I'm Richard Fontenay, signing off. Bye for now.